How you doing? What exactly is a decimal and why do we need them? Let's take a look. The decimal point is the dot that appears in numbers. And after the decimal point, we have the decimal places. First decimal place, second decimal place, third decimal place, and so on and so on. Just going through the decimal places here, these are quite hard to pronounce, but here I go. We have the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths, the 100,000ths, and the millionths. I think I did it right then. TH. Decimal numbers can simply be called decimals. So what exactly is a decimal? Would you believe it? A decimal is actually a fraction, but it is a fraction of a special base, and we have a different special way of writing it. What do I mean by that? To answer that, let's have a look at this example here. We're going to write these as fractions, but we're not going to simplify them. We want to leave them with its base 10, which you're going to see in a second. 0.4. The first decimal place is called the tenth. And written that way, it means there are 4 tenths. 4 times 1 over 10. 4 lots of 1/10. And to write that as a simple fraction, hopefully you can multiply your fractions. We think of the 4 as 4 over 1 times 1 over 10. Giving on top 4 times 1, which is 4, and on the bottom 1 times 10, which is 10. So this simple decimal here is a fraction where the denominator is 10. So the second example here, 0.07. The second decimal place represents the hundredths. So in other words, here we have 7 hundredths. 7 lots of 1 over 100. To multiply this, we imagine it as 7 over 1 times 1 over 100, giving 7 over 100. So the bases are always powers of 10. In other words, 10 multiplied by itself a certain number of times. Third one, the third decimal place is the thousandths. In other words, this is 2 lots of 1,000. Doing the multiplication, this is 2 over 1 times 1 over 1,000, giving 2 times 1 on top and 1 times 1,000 on the bottom. So again, we have another denominator, which is a base 10. So decimals are all fractions where we have a special base that is a power of 10. This is 10. This is 10 times 10. This is 10 times 10 times 10. Decimals are just a simple way of writing fractions where the base is a power of 10. One last one just to illustrate. 0.593 as a fraction. So let's just write it out here the way we were doing it before. Like so. Here we have 5 tenths. Here we have 9 hundredths. And here we have 3 thousandths. And if we were going to put this together as a single fraction, we need a common denominator, which is going to be 1,000. How do I turn 100 into 1,000? Multiply by 10, but I've got to do it to the top and the bottom. How do I turn a 10 into 1,000? I've got to multiply it by 100, but I've got to do that to the top and the bottom, which becomes 500 over 1,000 plus 90 over 1,000 plus 3 over 1,000. And 500 plus 90 plus 3 is 593 over 1,000. So in summing all that up, when writing a decimal as a fraction, the trick is we put this number on top, 593, and on the denominator we put a 1 for the decimal point and a 0 for each other digit that we can see. 593 over 1,000. So that's all well and interesting, right? But why do we need decimals? What do we use them for? Well, the only way I can explain this is with an example. Check this out, and without doing any working, just looking at it and telling me which is larger, 18/25ths of a kilogram or 3/4 of a kilogram. Not too easy by looking at it, right? This is why we have decimals, because it automatically puts everything with the same base, and we can just look at the numbers and see straight away which is larger. So let's write both of these as decimals and see if that actually works. So we have the denominators 25 and 4. And it just so happens that the lowest common denominator of these two is 100, which is base 10. How do I turn a 25 into 100? I'm going to multiply by 4, but I have to do that to the top and the bottom, which will give 100 on the bottom. 18 times 4. 18 times 2 is 36, times 2 again is 72. And there we go, over 100, which means it's a decimal, 0.72. And what about 3/4? How do I turn a 4 into 100? Multiply by 25. Top and bottom to be fair. Giving us 100 on the bottom, 4 times 25. And on the top, 3 times 25 is 75. There we go, as a decimal. Easy, that is 0.75. Can you see it now? When they're written as decimals, it's much easier to compare them and see which one's larger at first sight. 0.72 kilograms or 0.75 kilograms. Obviously this one's bigger. So which is bigger? 3/4 of a kilogram. Decimals makes things so much easier, and it's very useful in currency or dealing with pretty much anything. Length, distance, speed, velocity, you name it. Decimals are good. That's enough of me talking. It's time for you to do some thinking now. Please try examples 3 and 4. Example 3, keeping in mind that the meaning of a decimal is a fraction, write the following in fraction form, A, B, C, and D. And in example 4, remember why we use decimals? It makes fractions easier to compare when written in decimal form. Tell me, which is bigger, 3/10 of a pizza or 8/25 of a pizza? Yummy pizza. Don't forget to share those answers in the comments section. Thanks for watching.